The storyteller welcomes you to another nightmare. Plug in your earphones, close your eyes, and let us begin.
It was late, somewhere around midnight, and we were driving through the endless, empty roads of rural Nevada. The kind of place where the silence presses down on you like a heavy blanket, and the stars above seem too far away to touch. My wife, Jenny, and I had been on the road for hours. Our gas light had come on long ago, and we were both exhausted. We needed a break, so we pulled into a rest stop. No gas station, no lights, just a few worn benches and a dimly lit vending machine standing alone in the middle of the lot. It was the kind of place you'd expect to see in a horror movie, a place you might see in the background, but never actually visit. But we were tired and we thought, what harm could it do? We stepped out of the car and stretched, the night air dry and cold against our skin. There was something about the place that didn't feel right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The rest stop was completely deserted. No other cars, no travelers, just us. Jenny noticed it first. She turned to me, her face pale in the moonlight. "Did you hear that?" she asked. I looked around, hearing only the soft rustling of wind. "Hear what?" She hesitated, her eyes darting toward the far end of the lot. I swear, I heard whispers. I froze. Whispers? At this hour? The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I tried to laugh it off. "Probably just the wind," I said, though my voice didn't sound as confident as I'd hoped. We took a few steps, moving toward the vending machine. But as we walked, something caught my eye, a flicker of movement, something out there in the distance. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, or maybe an animal. But no, there, just beyond the edge of the lot, shadows moved in a way they shouldn't have. They didn't follow the pattern of the trees. They weren't cast by any of the dim lights. And they didn't make sense, not in a logical, earthly way. I told myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Too much road, too little sleep. But Jenny, she saw it too. Her eyes locked onto the shadows, and her grip tightened on my arm. "Let's go back," she whispered, her voice strained. But before we could move, something else caught our attention. We turned around to head back to the car, and that's when I saw him. A man, standing by the vending machine. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, wearing a dark jacket. He wasn't moving, not a twitch, not a single shift of his body, just standing there. But here's the thing. There was something wrong about it. His face, it wasn't right. It was too smooth, almost like a mask. And his eyes were completely blank. No pupils, no expression. Just empty. I grabbed Jenny's hand. "We need to go. Now." We turned back to the car, my heart pounding in my chest. But when I looked over my shoulder, he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, nothing, just gone. At first, I thought maybe he just moved out of sight, but I looked everywhere. The lot was completely empty, no sign of anyone, not even a shadow left behind. We were the only ones there. We got in the car fast, Jenny already fumbling with the door, her breath shallow and panicked. I slammed the car in reverse and sped out of that place as fast as I could. The road seemed endless. The further we drove, the more I tried to rationalize what had just happened, but the doubt lingered. It was like something in me knew that something wasn't right. But it wasn't until later, after we'd left that rest stop far behind, that we learned the truth. You see, We weren't the first ones to encounter something unnatural at that rest stop. As we pulled into the next town to get gas, I overheard a conversation between two truckers. They were talking about something that had happened at that very rest stop, something they'd both experienced. Vanishing travelers, one of them said. People who just disappear. They go in to stretch their legs, grab a snack, and then nothing. Gone. Like they were never there. I felt my stomach drop. The trucker continued. And the shadows, always the shadows, moving when there's no wind. I couldn't believe it. But the more I heard, the more I realized the rest stop was infamous for a strange, unexplainable activity. Reports of ghostly figures, whispers in the wind, and people disappearing without a trace. We never went back to that rest stop, and we never will. But that night, that man by the vending machine, he wasn't human. I don't know what he was, but he wasn't someone who should have been standing there in the middle of nowhere. Now, whenever I pass through Nevada, I think about that place. The shadows, the whispers, the man who disappeared. And I wonder, what if there are more like him out there? Waiting, watching. Some places, they're just better left forgotten. Stay safe. And next time you stop at a rest stop in the middle of nowhere, ask yourself, who's really out there with you? Before we move on to the next story, if you like true scary stories, please subscribe to Storyteller and click the bell icon for more creepy tales every week. Have you ever stayed at a motel that just didn't feel right? A place that seemed normal at first, but something about it made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up? I'll never forget the night my family and I stopped at a motel in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. A place that was supposed to offer rest. A place that should have been a safe haven for a tired family. But instead, it became a nightmare that still haunts me to this day. It was the summer of 2002. We had been driving for hours, heading towards Albuquerque, hoping to get there before midnight. But the sun had set long ago, and the only thing around us was endless stretches of dark desert. No signs of life, no other cars, just the hum of the tires on the asphalt. We were exhausted. My wife, Carla, our two kids in the back, and me. Everyone was tired, cranky, and ready for a break. That's when we saw the neon sign in the distance, vacancy. I remember feeling relieved. I thought to myself, finally, a place to rest. We pulled in. The parking lot was empty, which was odd, but I didn't think much of it at the time. The motel looked old, a bit run down, but nothing out of the ordinary. There was a faded neon sign buzzing above the office door, flickering intermittently. The manager, he was the first thing that felt off. He was behind the counter, standing completely still, almost like he was waiting for us. When we walked in, he didn't smile. He didn't greet us like any normal person would. He just nodded silently and handed over a key. No small talk, no have a good night, or enjoy your stay, just a blank stare. Something wasn't right about that man, but at the time, I brushed it off. We just needed to sleep. So we made our way to the room. It was dark. The curtains were drawn and the air smelled stale, but it was quiet. And sometimes in the middle of nowhere, that's all you can ask for. We unpacked quickly, settled in, and tried to sleep. But then, around 3 a.m., we were all suddenly jolted awake. A loud knocking at the door. I froze, heart pounding. My first thought was that it was someone from the office. Maybe the manager had made a mistake with the room. I got up half groggy and opened the door, but no one was there. I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just the wind or a prank. I went back to bed, tried to shake the feeling that something was wrong. But then it happened again. Knock, knock, knock. This time from the other door. The knock came from the side of the room, the door that led to the parking lot. I was no longer confused. I was scared. The whole family was awake now, and the kids were whispering nervously. Carla was clutching my arm, and I didn't know what to do. I opened the door again. This time, I looked everywhere. No one. I thought it was just some weird coincidence. Maybe the old building was making noises. But then something else happened. All the lights in the motel flickered, one by one. The lights in our room, in the hallway, in the parking lot. Everything went out. We were plunged into darkness. Complete silence. I felt like the walls were closing in. My heart was racing, and the knocking didn't stop. It moved, coming from every direction. At that point, it wasn't just one door. It was all around us. That's when the panic set in. We grabbed our bags, quickly threw on our shoes, and ran to the car. I don't know how we managed to get to the car so fast. I just remember that I was shaking. My hands were trembling as I fumbled with the keys. We sped out of that parking lot so fast. I didn't even look back, but I swear I could feel something following us. We didn't stop until we were miles away from that place. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, the motel was completely dark. No lights, no movement. The place was empty. It was as if it had vanished behind us. To this day, I still don't know what happened there. That place was real. It was a real motel. I saw the signs. I saw the manager. But after that night, we never found that place again. No matter where we looked, there was no trace of it. We tried to find it on future trips, but it was like it had been erased from existence. I've thought about it a lot. Too much, probably. Was it a ghost? Some kind of paranormal phenomenon? I don't know. All I know is that the moment we left, everything about that motel felt wrong. And now, I wonder if it was ever really there at all. Next time you pull into a motel in the middle of nowhere, make sure to check the lights. And make sure you're not the only one